Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Minister of Digital Affairs of the Republic of Poland, Marek Zagórski.
Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen, I was asked to sum up this 2 days, and I have to say that this conference was really exceptional as far as Poland is concerned, and I would like to congratulate the two organizers, Atlantic Council and Bank Polski, BP. As I talked to CEO Marciniak, this was the place to exchange about the strategy, about this broader perspective, the current interests, but also to discuss current interests as well. So you could say this was the frontline information, although maybe the frontline is not the best association because it is associated strongly with war notions, warcraft. And let's hope this will not impose a solution on us. So more than 250 people participated in this conference. I decided to share with you some information, dividing my resume into 3 different areas. The first area is the technology. And then during the discussion, many experts stressed the notion of trust towards technology, that this trust has to build based on standardized technology, such as security development lifecycle, regardless of producers. We need specific criteria. We need special certification processes created by the states, and here we'd like to brag a little bit. We would like to point out the works carried out by our ministry on a certification system based on the international criteria. The second area, equally important, it's organizational, and I'm sure we could probably find maybe a better wording, but it's just a working name, so to say. It is important to develop public-private partnership as far as cybersecurity is concerned, and here again allow me to somehow share our achievements. I would like to mention what my deputy mentioned, Minister Okoński, who mentioned the role of the state in inspiring private sector as regards the implementation of new technologies. We talked about the public cloud, our administrative infrastructure, but the purpose of the works carried on the level of the ministry is much broader. We want to show the applications of modern technologies, not only in security, but also the use of AI or of blockchains, and the inspiration, but also a correlation. We could give the example of another project presented by Adam Marciniak, CEO from PKO BP, a project carried out in cooperation with the Polish Foundation for the Development of the Polish Cloud, targeting Polish entrepreneurs. Also very important because it is building trust, because we are dealing with a public trust institution, which is the biggest Polish bank, and the state-owned development fund. This is the trust towards entrepreneurs or among entrepreneurs towards cloud solutions. Also making people aware of security issues for data processing, data which due to their sensitivity should not leave the territory of Poland. We also have to today discussed about the necessity for knowledge, information sharing used by the public sector, armed forces, and the commercial sector. Public entities should play an important role while building the national cybersecurity system, special configurations, security procedures, guidelines how to securely use technology, not always designed with the knowledge on cyber threats. One of the conclusions formulated during the discussion as regards the organizational aspect is that investment in education has to go hand in hand with investment in infrastructure. The knowledge on the most recent cyber threats is very important. I would like to mention what was said by Deputy Minister of Defense, Mr. Tomasz Zdzikot, who yesterday pointed out that it's the user who is often the weakest element of the chain, and an uneducated user can be the source of new cyber threats. Today, Sebastian Day also has given some specific examples of research that is stressing and confirming this thesis. As regards cyber education, we need direct cooperation between the technology providers as regards the preparation of training curricula, university programs, trying to follow up new novelties in technology and new vectors of attacks. And General Alexander mentioned also that what we are learning today will be outdated within 2 years. I would say that is a very optimistic approach, that sometimes what we learn or what we think is binding can change even faster, and we have to take this into account. The Ministry of Digitization, and again I would like to refer to our works, has started talks with the most important technology providers while working on a program of cooperation in order to build educational curricula, trying to create new solutions in order to strengthen our resilience and data protection. I would like to mention the necessity to build education on the top level, education where we will shape the best leaders for the business, for administration, also for the army, and this is the activity that we are carrying out, and need cooperation on the national level of different centers, different entities, but also we need international cooperation so that the best practices, the best experience between us could be shared in order to increase our capabilities and our security. And the last area I would like to mention, even though it's the first at the same time, it's the policy and legal area. I would like to refer to the Prime Minister also said, who mentioned the historical achievement of our Polish mathematicians and cryptographers who contributed to the information advantage of allies and to the eventual victory during the Second World War. And this is what the countries of our region can contribute in order to increase our common economic potential. So it is a natural need to develop a strategic partnership with the USA as regards cybersecurity and a very close cooperation between Polish and American technological companies while elaborating and while researching and certifying new digital solutions. The states have to, in parallel, invest in the development of civil skills and also raising our defense in the cyberspace. This is very important for really equilibrated growth of our economy. There was a presentation of General Keith Alexander, who pointed out that the modern approach to cybersecurity is based on the analysis of behaviors and relations between processes and digital networks, ICT and industrial automation. And this effective analysis requires high level of automation. It also requires mathematical methods, thus the importance of mathematical research and, of course, eventually research on AI. The Prime Minister Morawiecki also said that there is no Western country that can cope with cybersecurity alone. During my presentation today, I have shared with you my perspective, which corresponds with this statement, showing the necessity of very close cooperation. I've said that the image of a military and political alliance, and next to these kind of alliances, we need a new dimension, a technological alliance, and I think that this is something that in what the Prime Minister said and many other people said, this is what was clearly seen. I would also like to say, while finishing my summary, it is hard not to agree with the next statement of the Prime Minister Morawiecki that this conference will become a long-term cooperation and in consequence will allow Polish and American companies to grow and develop themselves, especially those companies that specialize in the broadly understood cybersecurity. Because in fact this is the case, and this conference has shown and has proven that this cooperation is possible, this cooperation is needed, And this cooperation will take place and will end with good effects. So I would like to thank again all the organizers, those who came up with the idea, PKO BP, Atlantic Council, all the speakers, panelists, all of you for your participation, for an interesting discussion. I hope that we will have an occasion to continue this dialogue within this partnership with Atlantic Council. Will be our conference planned in April in Washington. So see you in April. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękujemy, panie ministrze, za to wystąpienie.
Thank you, Minister, for your intervention.
Please welcome Atlantic Council Future Europe Initiative Distinguished Fellow, Ambassador Daniel Fried, for final remarks.
Ostatnie słowa.
Last words. First of all, I would like to thank the CEO, Mr. Jagiełło from PKO BP, because he has inspired, in fact, this conference.
President Jagiełło of PKO BP, who inspired this conference. It was his idea originally, and he was absolutely right that cybersecurity is a new field of Polish-American cooperation, and not just bilateral cooperation, but bilateral cooperation in the framework of defending a united free world, the West, the democratic community, its two great institutions of NATO and the European Union. And this, 30 years after the overthrow of the Yalta Order in Europe, an overthrow which began here in Poland, in a sense in 1980 and reached its culmination in 1989. 30 years ago. I want to mention this because I am old enough to remember the przekonanie panujące na Zachodzie, the prevailing wisdom in the West in 1989, which is nothing good would happen in Central Europe. Not then, and pretty much not ever. Now, I'm being brutal, but that's exactly what people thought. Poland did not accept the conventional wisdom. It fought for its independence. It won. And in the process of winning, destroyed the Yalta Order, and in its place gave the United States, my country, the opportunity to help build an undivided Europe and a transatlantic relationship. And what we're doing here today and yesterday, the theme of this conference is to defend that order, that achievement. The good news is we have something to defend. The bad news is we have to defend it. And as usual, the bad guys have got a head start on us. Only this time, Poland is with us, instead of being on the wrong side of some line that somebody else drew. We Americans want that alliance with Poland to be applied to new tasks, to these tasks, and to be applied to these tasks within the framework of our basic values: democracy, the rule of law, the sovereignty of free nations. Putin speaks of sovereignty. We speak of the sovereignty of free nations with higher obligations to our higher values. I am heartened by the commitment of the Polish government and to PKO BP and other organizations to cybersecurity in general, both hard security and the challenge of combating disinformation. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but this is a good beginning. The Atlantic Council has made a decision to invest in Central Europe in general and in Poland in particular. We Americans perhaps made the mistake of assuming that after the entry of Poland and other countries in this part of Europe into NATO and into the European Union, that our American work was done. And we could pivot to Asia or something. But it was not so. The work of safeguarding freedom against the great autocracies of this world, who believe that their time has returned, that work, our work, is a lifetime of work. But I can think of no better city in which to continue that work than Poland, especially in this anniversary. 100 years of Polish-American relations, 30 years of the end of the Yalta Order, 20 years of Poland's membership in NATO, 15 years of Poland's membership in the European Union. And this September, just as a cautionary note, let us also remember the 80th anniversary of two very bad days, 1 i 17 września. Let that be a cautionary note to us not to get lazy or complacent, but to remember what we have done and continue to do it. Niech żyje Polska, niech żyje sojusznictwo polsko-amerykańskie. I dziękuję.
The Polish-American alliance live.